What really works with your unique customers? A great way to learn that is with conversion testing on your site. So let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Daniel Burstein, Director of Editorial Content at MarketingSherpa. We're here at the MarketingSherpa Media Center at IRCE, and I'm joined now by Brad Jefferson, the CEO of Animoto, to talk about your testing practice. So Brad, the product you sell, you're selling it to small businesses, you're selling a video product?
That's right, yeah. Animoto makes it easy for anyone to create professional, powerful video. And so consumers use the product, small businesses use the product, any marketing professional uses the product to tell a visual story.
Okay, and about how many tests do you run a year?
We run a lot of tests. I would say, we're testing weekly, so probably 250. I think last year we did 250 different tests on the website.
Wow, and what type of elements are you testing?
We're testing everything. We're testing primarily content on pages. So, what's above the fold? Is it what's the headline? What's the copy? What's the imagery look like? What are the actual videos on the pages?
Yeah, do you ever test the actual content of the videos against each other?
We do. In fact, just last week we did this interesting test. We on our primary business page, we show a lot of different sample videos, and we found for us personally, for our company, and also in the industry, to have video on pages helps with conversion, helps with time on site, helps with average order value. And so we wanted to eat our own dog food and really stress test this a little bit. And so we had a page that showed different sort of industry kinds of videos. And so there were about 6 videos on the page. There was a real estate video sample, a pro photography video sample, an internet retailer video sample. And it wasn't performing as well as we thought it should be performing versus a more sort of photo text heavy page. And so we actually switched around the videos that were on that page. And what we did was we changed it to more sort of horizontal kinds of videos that would appeal to any sort of an industry. So, the videos weren't industry specific, but rather they were, company overview video, product description video, customer testimonial video, and that performed far better. It was in bookings as well as conversion rate, we saw a double-digit lift from just moving around the kinds of videos that were shown above the fold on that page.
Well, it's interesting because that's a very company-centered logic. I'm going to set my company up into verticals, and I'm going to have something for each vertical, and they'll buy the different industries, but your customers don't care about that.
That's right.
Yeah. So you have both a B2B and a B2C audience. Have you noticed any different patterns in what interests the two different types of customers?
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a challenge. Animoto is a 9-year-old company, and so when we started, there was no iPhone to take video. It was the flip camera. It was YouTube had just sort of come out. There was really no Facebook. It was still just at the college level. And our mission was we want to make it easy for anyone to create this professional video. And we didn't want you to have to think like a video editor. You should just be able to create, as simple as it is, create a slideshow. You should be able to create an Animoto video. And we were a little surprised because in the early days, we thought it was going to appeal to sort of a teenager market, sort of the MySpace, back when MySpace was around. And what happened was sort of moms and grandparents wanted to tell their family stories with the platform. And so it was more about the birth of a child, a 50th wedding anniversary, a wedding, and those sort of videos. And so those are the kinds of videos that kind of, it's almost like the digital analog of a photo book that sits on the shelf, is people want to tell the chapters of their lives through our video platform. And what then happened was businesses wanted to say, well, that we want to tell stories through a video format as well. And so we were kind of surprised around 2009, 2010, the amount of businesses that would come to our platform to help tell their story. And so the challenge I think we've got, is that we really do want to appeal to anyone. And so there's the consumer kinds of videos really more appeal to the heartstrings, sort of tug. It's sort of the why you live life. Like it's all the magical moments of life, whether that's a retrospective video of a full year or a lifetime, or if it's just a perfect vacation or a moment, And so I think we help really well. Businesses want to get to that same emotional level with video, but really, there's an underlying thing they're trying to drive. It's you have to bring in more money. And so we really try to help businesses understand how they can be effective with video to ultimately make more money. It's still storytelling at its most human form, but it's there's a reason to do it in business.
Yeah, so basically the same message, but then adding the bottom line for businesses, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting lesson. How did you learn that? You're targeting millennials, but it's really the older audiences that are interested in your product.
Just being a slave to the data. So we in listening to customers. I think probably in this case it was more listening to customers. I mean, we have millions of customers. We have millions of videos being created per month, and but looking through the data, it was actually hard to figure out what people wanted, and so we just started talking more to our customers, inviting them to our office, doing different focus groups. And that's sort of really how we learned it. We had some customers that they would write in every week and say, you have to market this more for professional photographers. This is the perfect product that we've been waiting for our lives. And you hear that message a few times and you're like, okay, it's nice to be dragged into business versus trying to push into it. And so I think we've been good at sort of being reactive in ways that are smart from a strategy perspective. But yeah, really listening to customers and trying to be as data-centric as possible.
So now listening to customers is great. You can learn a lot of qualitative information that way, but they can also be outliers. So did you test first to see, so if some older people are saying, hey, we want this, did you test first and see like, hey, is this really appealing to a broad swath of older people?
Yeah, in the early days, for better or for worse, I think we took a little bit more of the Apple approach, which is sort of, you're in your Ivy Tower, you're this insular sort of, product development, and you put it out there and you hope it sticks. And based on kind of what you're hearing, but also your own intuition. And a main way that we've changed over the last 3 or 4 years is not having sort of that sort of internal bias, but actually putting the product in customers' hands and watching them, videotaping them using our product, videotaping sort of when they get excited about it, and so even though that's qualitative, because you can't do that for all customers, you start to see trends really, really quickly. An example from just this past month is we felt, just looking at the data, we felt that our conversion rate to a paying customer, that funnel wasn't effective enough, and we're like, let's streamline this funnel. And so one of the things that we did is we created these different tooltips through the site as to, this is what this feature does, this is what this feature does. And we kind of stood back and said, this is going to be great. And it didn't turn out to be great, but we felt like this is the better experience, but this is from us internally. This is the better experience. They don't know it's better, so let's keep this on the site. So just in fact, we've been testing this last month, and it was overwhelming the number of people that did not want those tooltips. They just want to get in there and explore themselves. And that was, again, it was probably a double-digit gain by just removing what we thought were sort of the guardrails. Or I have small children, so in the bowling lane, like the bumpers go up. We had the bumpers up, and people actually don't want the bumpers in our particular experience. So that's humbling, but the only way you know that is by actually talking to people and watching them use the product.
So speaking of internal biases, if we can talk, I know it's sometimes more painful to talk about the losses, but I'm sure every company has an internal bias. As a video company, I'm sure your internal bias is great, big videos, awesome, they really work well. You were saying even you were testing using big videos, and that also didn't work out as well as you thought.
Right. So all the industry data that you're going to see says that to have a video is going to help you show up in the Google search, organic search results better. So people are going to find you better. When they come to your site, they're going to stay on your site longer, partly because they're watching these videos. Your conversion rate into paid is going to go up. The average order value of people that do pay is going to increase. So all those metrics are great. And so the lesson, sort of the simple lesson is, more video equals better on every metric. It's not true always, though. And I think what we've learned internally is, of course, we need to eat our own dog food. And so we put a big video above the fold on our homepage. And we thought, okay, all these metrics are going to increase because we've done this. And they didn't increase. And so we're like, oh man, like this is our business. We're telling everyone this is what they should do, and it didn't work. And but what we realized in sort of analyzing it is, it really matters, the speed in which that video can start playing. Is it autoplay? Do they click through? That matters. The first few seconds of the video matter. The length of the video matters. It can't be too long. They're not going to stay on, sort of 30, in our experience, 30 to 45 seconds was a good length of time. And the idea of autoplaying isn't always the best thing. You kind of want people to feel empowered to engage into that deeper lesson, or the deeper sort of story about your company. So I guess the lesson that we've learned is you actually have to test the video content too. It's not video for video's sake, but it's actually, the kind of video, what's the thumbnail of that video that invites people to click through, what are the first few seconds of the video, how long the video is, and ultimately the production quality of that video, that all those things actually matter.
Yeah, so it's a great lesson. We always hear the best practice, like perhaps use video, but you got to test to see what works for your specific audience. And
Right.
But speaking of that last question, that can be difficult to test, right? Because you have to create multiple treatments, perhaps multiple videos.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to marketers to operationalize? I mean, 250 tests a year, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, we do a lot of our testing through Optimizely. So for our homepage, it's actually pretty easy to sub different videos in with different thumbnails. But I think the easier way to test if that feels too sophisticated is actually through email. So with the same subject line, inviting people in to have a link to a video on another page. So you don't even have to get creative and clever about how do you embed a video to play in line within an email. I know that's pretty difficult, but literally like have two different thumbnails of the invitation into a video on an A/B test of email, and see which one actually people click through more, and then they're going to drive to a different site, and then you can look at some simple metrics from that site, and you can use things like Wisty or Vimeo to find out pretty quickly how many people click to play the video, how far through the video did they actually get, and with those two metrics for themselves, you kind of learn is this effective or not.
All right, great. Well, hopefully some great tips for everyone to start testing video and different elements on their page. So thank you, Brad.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel.
And thank you for watching. You can get much more marketing tips and tactics, marketing case studies, and marketing industry data at MarketingSherpa.com.